Hello, everyone. My name is Hilton Kelly, founder and director of the Community Empowerment and Development Association. Our organization is located in Port Arthur, Texas, right on the Gulf Coast. Port Arthur, Texas is home to more than 4 refineries, about 6 chemical plants, and 1 international incinerator facility. And what we found is that across the country, we have thousands of communities that are being potentially harmed by petroleum refineries that are dumping tons and tons of legal and illegal emissions into the air that we breathe and into the water that we drink. Here I am now in California looking at the Chevron refinery. The Chevron refinery is a facility that's dumping tons and tons of emissions into the air here in California near Richmond and Vallejo and Pinole, California. And just behind me there is the Chevron facility, which is bordering the Richmond community in Richmond, California. So I have someone here with me. Mr. Holliday, how you doing?
I'm fine.
I understand that you live in this community, and for years there have been some issues here at the Chevron refinery. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on out there and how you have been potentially impacted?
Well, practically on a daily basis, traveling from Vallejo to Oakland, you know, we smell it every morning. You know, it's always a gassy smell, constant. A lot of times when I drive by, you know, sometimes my eyes get a little itchy and a little irritated, where it starts spewing white mucus on an abnormal basis. And even my kids, you know, even complain about it, because when we come through this area, we always say, oh, we got to turn the windows up and cut the air conditioner on so we don't have to smell that stuff. But, you know, when you think about it, everybody that passes through there going to work every day on a daily basis is affected. You know I am. I know I get headaches. You know, my wife gets headaches and migraines all the time. You know, and we kind of attribute it. The doctors always say it's nothing wrong, but it's definitely something wrong, because she's in pain most of the time and taking medication. So with all that being said, just actually last week on the 16th, 15th, 16th, I had a major burning sensation when I passed by the refinery. And it was so bad, my eyes swole.
And this is the 15th, 16th of May?
Of May, yeah.
2014.
2014, which was last week. And with that, when I went home, when I went to Oakland, it cleared up. And I said, wow, that's kind of weird, you know. So, because I thought it was hay fever at first. But then I said, no, it can't be hay fever. Wow. It's the way it's reacting. I never reacted like that. And I looked in the rearview mirror and I could see my eyes was actually swollen. Swollen and really red and irritated. And when I got to Oakland, it cleared up. And I said, wow. I hung out in Oakland for about 2-3 hours. Turned around, was coming back to Vallejo. And the exact same thing when I got past the top of the hill Richmond Hilltop Mall area. That's when I noticed the itching started again. And then by the time I got by the refinery, it was actually burning. And that continued all the way until I got to Vallejo.
Now, how frequent would you say these incidents are to where you smell the heavy gases or heavy emissions?
3 times a week at the minimum.
About 3 times a week?
At least 3 times.
And is there any other refineries or chemical plants in the area other than the Chevron facility?
Well, they have a refinery in the Benicia area, which is further on the other side.
Okay, so you couldn't really mistake the odors that you smell from coming from any other source other than the Chevron?
No, it's very obvious. And then sometimes you'll see a white mist eliminated from the area as well. I don't know what it is. It just looks like steam, but you can tell it's not steam because it hangs in the air too long. But it just floats around, and you know, if you're driving, you can't really watch it that long. So you just look at it and say, man, well, you know, it's kind of weird. Yeah, what is it?
And you know, this community seems to be a middle-class community. And you got some really nice homes in the area, and yet I'm pretty sure people pay pretty good money for their homes here, and yet every day they have to live with the fear of being exposed to toxic fumes and gases. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, when you purchase a home and call yourself trying to live and raise a family, you kind of ignore a lot of the obvious, you know, and you know, living in a condition such as this, you know, we kind of learn to live with it. You know, it's like you figure, you know, you take the people's word that it's not harming you, you know, because that's what they tell us. It's not harming you. There's people that work there that are going through the same thing, so it ain't that bad. But I say, well, my head hurt, you know, I can't stand the smell. Got to close my house up on hot days where I can open my doors and you know, appreciate the weather. You can't even do that because some days it's just too unbearable.
Now, from what I understand, this facility now I get the air quality what you're speaking of, and the constant odors that are in the air. But have you ever noticed any explosions or fires
yeah.
at the facility where people came out of their homes or had to go to the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
Have there been incidents like that?
Oh yeah. They're not as frequent, the explosions, but they had one last year, last summer, when I was practicing my team over at the Richmond Rec Center. They had an explosion, and it scared the heck out of all of us, and it burned for some hours, and the cloud eliminated, it flew it all over. The directions changed here and there, and it was thousands of people at the hospital, checking in.
Wow. So did they ever come out, did the Chevron refinery ever come out here in Richmond, California, did they ever come out and explain to you guys exactly what you were being exposed to and what were the potential dangers?
If they have, I didn't find out about it because, my eyes, again, during that time, it was spewing the white mucus, but it wasn't burning like it was just last week. It was just, the mucus was just building up in my eyes excessively every day.
So your body was rejecting something that was trying to enter your system.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, okay, so when the explosion took place, people had to go to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
But yet no one from the facility really came and talked with folks and talked about what they were potentially exposed to. And if they did, then what was some of the remedies that they said that people could do? Did they plan on compensating them for their health impacts? Or what actually took place?
That was spoke on. They supposed to made a class action suit, and we're supposed to get.
So wait a minute. You mean to tell me the people had to do a class action suit, and the refineries didn't voluntarily?
No, they didn't voluntarily. No.
Wow.
It was like pulling teeth because they was like saying it, really wasn't their fault. First they was trying to say that the explosion was an accident. It wasn't their fault. And so then they found out somebody, in the long run, they found out somebody didn't change a certain valve that was old. And you hear so many stories on the news. And then when you go to the doctor, you got to wait in such a long line. You got to wait 2-3 hours sometimes. And a lot of people walk away. They say, I'd rather go get some Visine because that's what I did.
Now you've been in this community for a number of years. How many years have you actually been here in this community dealing with this?
I'd say at least 10. My oldest son was born in Richmond. I've been coaching in Richmond since '98. So I've been in this community since '98, technically.
And so you've been coaching here since '98, and here it is now, May 25th, 2014, and you are a basketball coach. Now, your kids that you coach, do you see any of them with respiratory problems, or have any of them ever succumbed to cancer, or do you know of any parents that have succumbed to cancer?
Yes, I do. I know a few of my players that have some skin problems and some breathing difficulties. A lot of players don't like to talk about breathing difficulties when you're playing basketball. It's really important, and so they kind of ignore it. But my sons talk to the guys, because I have 3 sons on the team, and they kind of expose them about how sometimes they have problems breathing and difficulty, especially when it's kicking out that really bad odor, and they don't even like being in Richmond, things of that nature.
Wow. And so I'm just trying to really wrap my mind around the fact that what we're finding is around the country, there are communities very much like this one, Richmond, California. You have Port Arthur, Texas, you have Narco, Louisiana, South Philadelphia, and you may not always have a Chevron chemical plant, but you have some type of chemical plant or refinery that emit the same type of toxins, and people have the same issues with respiratory problems, skin disorders, and cancers. And it leads me to believe that these guys, after all these years, should have somehow identified that they are causing a lot of these problems and voluntarily do something to help alleviate the problems that people are facing from their emissions. And you have a family. How are your kids being impacted, and your wife? Are they being impacted by these emissions?
It's like I said, my wife, she has migraines on a regularity. Actually has one today. She complains about coming to
So she has constant headaches and migraines.
Yeah, migraines too. And she can't do anything. She got to lay down for so many hours and stay in the dark and all that madness. And it's like, my kids, again, they complain about their eyes burning. One of my sons' eyes was burning just like my eyes, was swollen up and everything. To the point when I came in the house, he was just holding his face like this. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? He said, my eyes is burning. And, so So yes, it affects us tremendously, and I have asthma, and so it bothers that as well.
Well, you know, a lot of people look at California, particularly Northern California, as the sunshine state, the state of where there's milk and honey and opportunity for everyone and plenty of sunshine and beaches and great times. But here it is, there's a dark side to all of that. You all have a refinery, a Chevron refinery right next to this beautiful community, and yet they're not good neighbors. Do you have any ideas as to what you would like to see done? I mean, would you like to see this facility closed down, or would you like to see them operate better and be more inclusive when it comes to educating the community on how to protect themselves? What would you like to see?
What I would like to see is more inclusion about what's actually happening and the things we're being affected with. You know, like the chemicals that they don't ever say what it exactly is. They just say it's something, and a lot of times they even act like they don't know what it is. So it's like I would like to be informed about what I'm being affected with, how I can remedy it from the disease or whatever it creates. I know I've heard you mention about a meter that reads the emissions. You know, I think they should supply at least a local area where we can go there on certain days and say, what's the emissions like today? At least give us half a chance to say, you know, if we need to stay shelter in place or whatever, just stay out of it, you know, and I think that would help a lot.
So in other words, you're not angry with the facility enough to say, no, we want them to close their doors, move away, and just get away from us.
The only reason I don't go that far and say that, because I don't really believe, you know, with me saying that, it really happened. I think that it's like everybody else blowing smoke and screaming and kicking and fighting behind something that's not going to occur. So instead of saying close that big facility down, that creating trillions of dollars, and me, you know, I'm just a regular person. I know it's not going to close down. That's why I'm convinced of that, because it's been happening too long. So, but I do, you know, if I had my choice, I'd say close it down. You know, it's not needed. It's killing too many people. But, you know, I don't believe that'll happen. So I'll say I'll take the other remedy.
So you're going after the low-hanging fruit.
Well,
to try to get them to at least come and talk to the community, help you guys to understand what you've been exposed to, and for them to try to reduce the amount of toxins that they're dumping into the air. That's basically what you're asking.
Exactly.
And I think that's fair. Well, Mr. Holliday, do you have anything you would like to add to this discussion that I did not ask?
Well, you know, I would like to say I really appreciate you taking the time, you know, somebody with your stature, you know, being a Goldman, you know, environmental prize winner, and taking the time coming from Texas to you know, hopefully help us alleviate our problem, you know, and hopefully attack it for some realism, you know, with some real issues and some real solutions, because that's the main problem. You get a lot of people here that's getting paid really hand over fist with money and not doing anything, because I've been exposed to it, my kids been exposed to it. I ain't got a meter, I ain't got no medical, I ain't got nothing. Wow. It's just dealing with it and using Visine when my eyes get irritated, and hopefully that works, and saying hopefully whatever I'm gonna suck to my system ain't gonna kill me no time soon.
Well, Mr. Holliday, I'd just like to let you know that I have a book out. It's called A Lethal Dose of Smoke and Mirrors, Going Home for Better or for Worse. And that book can be found on Amazon.com. My mission is to tour across America, having these book signings and open discussions about environmental justice issues. And this is exactly what you have going on here. This is an environmental injustice that's being done to this community. And I'm going to do everything within my power to try to bring attention to this issue, not only here in Richmond, California, and the Vallejo area, but also in Chicago, Philly, Norco, Louisiana, and other areas around the country that many of us haven't even heard of. But yet, I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm very happy to have met you, and we're going to continue to push forward and try to get these refineries to reduce the amount of toxins that they're dumping into the air that you and your kids are breathing. This I can commit to you. So thank you for your time, and we really appreciate it, and keep on doing what you're doing. Appreciate it, working with the kids.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
You're welcome.